How is it going, everyone? Time for today's YouTube recap. Today is December 5th, 2022. It is just before noon, so let's do today's recap. We'll take a look at the intraday order flow, but first I want to go over the daily plan. So just like every day, I start my daily plan with my TPO charts. And what I'm circling here, these are called market profiles. Now, why do we use TPO charts? I understand that they could look intimidating if it's something that's new to you, but I promise you they're super easy to learn. And once you do learn them, it's just a quick glance that you look at the chart and take the information that you need. TPO charts help us understand what the general market sentiment is. Not only that, but we could see whether we're building balance in certain areas of the market. And things that we look at are, the tops and bottoms of each of these profiles here and here, the shapes of the profiles. Let me just clean this up. Where the points of control are lying, where the value area low, value area high, a whole bunch of things. That help us build our daily plans. And as I always say, I start my daily plan every single day with the TPO. I will annotate the highs, lows, shapes, everything that I feel is important, as I do with, as you can see here, the footprint charts, and I send them in the daily plan tab of our Discord. So step 2, of course, is here on the footprint charts. Now, footprint charts are super customizable. Some people, well, first, when we look at my specific charts, we're looking at transacted volume. Now, some people you'll see have theirs configured to look at delta of different things and whatnot. So when we speak about footprint charts, we're speaking about mine. And I have transacted volume, and you could look at the home of the YouTube channel. I have a quick video that explains exactly how I have mine configured and how you read these. So just to save any confusion. Now, as I said, I'll annotate the TPO charts, and then I come to my 4-hour chart and do the same exact thing. Do we have a bid? Do we have an offer? Is one of these bid or offers aggressive? Do we have trapped participants? Do we see exhaustion at some places? Do we see that the auction isn't finished, but we're still pulling away, signaling that we're likely to revisit a certain area? There are so many different things that we could take from the footprint and need to take from the footprint, in my opinion, to be successful traders. So I try to be as detailed as possible and show everything that I'm reading from the order flow, and of course share it. Now, in the room, if you're a part of the room, we have a whole intro series. It's 3 parts. One is TPO charts, how to read them, everything about that. Footprint charts, how to read them, and little tips, tricks, all of that stuff. And market auction theory, right? There are 3 crucial things that go into my trading, and of course how I execute off them, right? That's why so many people ask, why do I share these plans every day? What's the point of joining the room if I see where I want to be active anyway? I could give you exactly where, or one person, not even me, one person could give you exactly where the market's going to reverse, and you still can and likely will lose money every single day because you need to learn how to execute off these levels, right? Execution is the most important thing in trading. You can't make money if you can't execute properly, and this is where order flow comes in. I like using my daily, I like using my 4-hour to find these key inflection points in the market. But we have to learn how to use our smaller time frames within the general knowledge that we get from the higher time frames to actually be able to execute properly. And of course, I teach all of that and how I personally do it day in and day out in the room. So this, of course, was our daily plan. And just before getting into the intraday order flow, one last thing is how we can minimize our risk exposure in the markets. And that is by not trading our capital, not putting our capital at risk, but trading a firm's. So when I traded equities, I did trade for a firm, but since moving into futures, I have not. So a few students were asking me about prop firms, if there was one that I recommended, and I asked around to people I trust and like friends and whatnot, and everyone pointed me to Apex. So I tried out an Apex evaluation, obviously passed, and waited the little period to be able to withdraw money, make sure everything went well. It did. No problems, and customer service was super nice. Today is actually the last day of their sale. For about $33 and change, you could pay for an evaluation account. Now, you have to pass the evaluation account. Now, I'm talking about a $50,000 account. You could do a $25,000, $50,000, I think 100,000, $250,000 account, pass the evaluation, and then you are funded with that account, right? So for 33 and change, you could try out for a $50,000 account. It's a $3,000 profit target. You have to trade a minimum of 7 days. So I recommend you all to look into all firms that you could find, make your own decision. But one that I could speak on for personal experience is Apex. And they have an 80% off sale. Just use this code. I'll leave the link and whatnot in the description. Is there anything else? I think that's it, right? Oh. So if you want to take the time, pause this. The buy zone today provided ample opportunity. I personally took trades off of it, but I had this conversation with a room member. As we know, trading could be or is very psychological. Not only is it actually knowing what you're looking for, your strategy, but we have to have the right psyche. So I thought this was a super important lesson, and I decided to share it. And I believe that's it, right? So let's take a look at the intraday order flow. As you can see, we are now trading below that buy zone. And so before that, let's look at the 30-minute. People ask me what time frames I use. For footprint, I use the daily, 4-hour, 30-minute, and 5-minute. I also use the 1 minute, but not on footprint. I like a 1 minute clean candlestick chart. I also have clean candlestick charts of the 30-minute as well that I use. So into open, you could see that this open 30 candle closes at the lows. When it closes at the lows, we have this high volume area that is trapped. These are trapped participants, but we'll get back to that. So at 10 o'clock, we have I think it was factory numbers came out, and we just had this huge swift drop, as we often see on news, right? No liquidity, boom, drop. And then once a few minutes come by, we have liquidity coming back, and we have a bid where right at the buy zone, building, and provided again along. Now, I'm not executing off my 30-minute chart. That's where I bring my smaller time frames to be able to get very sniper entries, if you will, with tight risk. I personally took it for 5 points, although, obviously provided about 20 points from the low end of the range. But now we come back to these trapped participants. Look where the ceiling is for the session. So we come down, we build a bid, come up. Now we have an offer. But before we move down, let's clean this up just a little bit. Before we move down, we need to stop out this offer. One more pop, 0 print, signaling no one else is willing to transact. So we will move down. These trap participants help provide this ceiling, and we trade down, right? Now there's a few tricks I was going over today during the whole session, just typing out live what I'm reading in the order flow. But what I'm talking about is there's a few tricks telling us not to long on this revisit of the buy zone. Why? Looking at our daily footprint, we could see where buyers and sellers are adding, defending to the position, and who's more aggressive. So I was telling traders in the room, we still could look for longs here, but not being aggressive as we were the first time. We have to trade down here and see if the bid is still active. And sure enough, when we came down here, it was not. Buyers did not add enough, telling us, do not put your money at risk. And here we are, right? So now we're below a majority of the volume on the day. Let me pull up the daily chart. So now when we look at the daily chart, just looking at today's candle, look at all this volume that's underwater. So the same thing when we look at the volume going in prior to the open. I posted on YouTube and StockTwits a picture of the daily footprint prior to open, and we saw something similar to this. We had a majority of the volume underwater. So before we're looking for longs, we want to see a bid, right? I don't want to be longing against all this volume. I want to be longing with the majority of the volume, right? Hopefully that makes sense. Let's just see. Is there anything else I want to cover? I think that's about it for today. So just a quick, YouTube recap. Every day we have private recaps. After close, we'll break up the sessions, overnight session, morning, afternoon, into close and whatnot for the room. But hope you guys all found value in this. If you did and find value in my approach, I'll leave a link to my website if you're interested. But I'll see you guys tomorrow in the next market recap.